Hey there, Saints. Pastor Dave here again with another weekly devotional for you. I'm going to start with a reading from Sarah Arthur's 1 Year Daily Grind, as usual. And this reading is about Scripture and how we're challenged by it. Often when I sit down to write these devos, I'm tempted to hunt around for those select Scripture verses that buttress my worldview or strengthen some argument, rather than engage the Bible on its own terms. I can't imagine God is impressed. He's never been all that interested in telling us what we want to hear, as the wisest prophets know, but prefers to blow open our carefully crafted little worlds and reduce our arguments to dust, even our arguments in defense of His Word. If I've learned nothing else in my ramble through the Scriptures so far, it's that if we read the Bible, we must read all of it, and slowly. We must be ready for surprises. We must brace ourselves for something that doesn't sound like Republican or Democratic policies, or any of the human systems we like to spiritualize with our political rhetoric, including the American dream. If I read the Scriptures carefully, I must conclude that, contrary to popular opinion, God isn't interested in our pursuit of happiness. He's interested in our pursuit of holiness, whatever it takes, whether we like it or not. You know, Saints, we talked about kind of the same thing just this past Sunday in worship. We talked about the foundation of the church needing to be Jesus Christ and nothing else. And in a way, I think this is very much related, that as we read Scripture, it's easy for us, we're tempted often to go to those places where we're familiar and where we're comfortable, to read those stories and those passages that really reinforce the things that we already believe and know and like and understand. But we're tempted to kind of skip over or move past those places that are difficult, those places that are unfamiliar, those places where we might run into something that's hard for us to fit into the worldview we already carry. Problem is, we are just so tempted to think that we know everything, and to think that anything that falls outside of what we know and what we believe must not be from God. When we read Scripture, and we read it faithfully, and as Sarah suggests, we read it slowly and carefully and all of it, we're going to be surprised. We're often going to be challenged. We're going to run into things that just don't fit with what we want to believe God says or does or cares about. That can be a very good thing. That can be a way for us to expand our understanding of God, to expand our willingness to serve God and to follow God and to build the kingdom that God is trying to build, rather than the kingdoms that we so often want to build and assume God also wants to build. Saints, it's easy for us to think that God thinks just the way that we do. But the more we read Scripture, and the more we wrestle with it and really try to understand those parts that we don't right now understand, the more we're going to find that God is bigger. God's perspective is bigger. God's sphere of influence is bigger. The group of people that God cares about is bigger than we'd ever assumed. So, Saints, I challenge you to do that this week. Find something in Scripture that doesn't make sense to you. Study, read, wrestle, and see where God might lead you. That's your devotional this week. I hope it's helpful. Hope it's worth thinking about. Hope you're doing well and staying healthy, staying warm as the weather gets cooler. I'm praying for you, and I hope you'll keep praying for me, Saints. Take care. I'll see you again soon.